Good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast for Tyrant Network. This is BRN AM for Friday, August 16th, 2024. And our top story today, you may want to reconsider your relationship with caffeine. Joining me now to discuss this and a lot more is Dr. Lina Begdache of Binghamton University. Dr. Begdache, it's so great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And look, I have to say, I'm really intrigued by this study and this story because I'm a coffee drinker. And I think a lot of people are like me. I drink probably 2 cups of coffee a day. Coffee I always think of coffee when I wake up in the morning, but it has an impact to our system. What is that impact?
So I'm assuming you're taking a caffeinated coffee, right?
Well, that's a good point. So I drink coffee in the morning that has caffeine, but it could also be energy drinks. It probably could be chocolate, right? The caffeine is in a lot of foods. That's a really good point.
Correct. So coffee has the highest amount of caffeine when we compare to chocolate, tea, and energy drinks. It depends on what energy drinks you're getting. But anyway, caffeine is a psychoactive compound that is widely used everywhere. It's actually, it has some addictive property. This is why people would like to have their coffee in the morning, but also it has some positive effect. Because it's a psychoactive, it means it stimulates the brain. By the stimulation of the brain, we have better performance of the brain. We have better release of certain feel-good chemicals like dopamine, for example. Dopamine is a brain chemical that motivates you, that gives you the boost of energy, like mental energy. So this is why it could be addictive. It also has some addictive properties, but it's also addictive to these feelings, to these good benefits.
And how society? I mean, when I think, I made the connection between coffee and caffeine, but how long has caffeine been in not just American diets, but it's probably been for hundreds, if not thousands, of years as part of civilization, I would think.
Correct. I agree. I think it was first introduced from the Asian countries where they have the coffee bean, the tea leaves were harvested and then slowly were introduced to Europe and then to the Americas.
And you talked about the clarity of focus and also the addictiveness. But from what I've read and one of the reasons why I wanted to speak with you is it also can create a level of anxiety. And I know that when I have too much coffee, which includes caffeine, I get a little fidgety, meaning my hands start to shake a little bit. I've always had a little bit of angst in terms of sitting still, but it's even more pronounced. How does the caffeine in the coffee or the caffeine in the energy drink, does that create anxiousness for people?
For some people, 2 cups of coffee, 3 cups of coffee can trigger that. For others, maybe more. It depends on the genetic makeup, I could say, is because we have multiple enzymes that could be involved in whether we metabolize caffeine or we respond to the effect of caffeine. So if we have a genetic variant in these enzymes, we could be more sensitive to caffeine's effect. So you're saying 2 cups of coffee, right?
Give or take. I mean, they're pretty large cups, so maybe it's not really, but maybe they're mugs like this big. So that to me is 2 cups. But if you measured it according to I don't know if it's a metric system, whatever it is, it's probably more than that, to be honest.
Okay. If you drink caffeine in the afternoon, would it keep you up at night?
Absolutely. I mean, I stop after, sorry to interrupt you. I was going to say, I stopped drinking my coffee around 7:30 a.m. And so that's kind of like my ritual. And I think it's probably the ritual that a lot of people have. It's like, you've seen the commercials, you wake up and you smell Folgers in a cup. It kind of gets you going. And habitually, I like to drink my coffee while I'm looking at the news, reading emails, etc.
So I could guess that you're a slow metabolizer. So what's the difference between a fast and a slow metabolizer? It's fast metabolizer. We have all the perfect working enzymes that degrade or metabolize caffeine in a short amount of time. So those people tend to be drinking more coffee because they need to have the effect of caffeine replenished, whereas slow metabolizers, they take longer to metabolize caffeine, so it stays in their system for a longer period of time. And when they overdose, which is like normal dose for fast metabolizer, they could feel the effect of caffeine on their stress, on their anxiety, and so forth. So I would guess that you're a slow metabolizer.
I'm definitely, as I've aged, I've become a very slow metabolizer in a lot of ways. But you're probably right. Last question before we go to a commercial break is you talked about addiction, the addictive nature of caffeine. Can it have a deal and the anxiousness, the creating of anxiousness, fidgetiness? Does it also have a deleterious effect, a negative effect on overall health?
It could, if you're a heavy drinker for a long period of time. Some studies have shown that people could have some cardiovascular issues, although there are mixed results with these studies. So I think because the problem is the studies did not look into the genetic makeup of participants, and this is why we could see some conflicting results. But the studies that focused on the impact of cardiovascular health is mostly because of the stress associated with high consumption of caffeine. So we also have to say, to mention that caffeine or coffee has polyphenols. These actually are antioxidants. They have beneficial effect, but having too much caffeine can counter effect the benefits of these polyphenols and may increase the risk of cardiovascular health or increase blood pressure, which eventually could impact the effect or affect the function of the heart.
Well, Dr. Begdache, I need to take a very quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about caffeine and your diet. If you need to cut back, like me, I think I probably do, but you're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Now is your opportunity to co-create content around any topic on the First Lifestyle and Wellness Network. Reach a global audience through our platform and co-own exclusive branded content. All of our programs are available on demand and also as audio-only podcasts, so you can take us on the go. Broadcast Retirement Network, available anytime, anywhere, and on any device. Well, Dr. Begdache, thank you so much for staying with us. Really appreciate hanging around for segment number 2 this morning.
My pleasure.
Yeah, this is a fun conversation and actually puts into light, I need to think about maybe cutting back on some of my coffee, so I'm going to work to do that. But I did want to ask you about, you talked about metabolizing food and metabolizing the caffeine. Does that change as we age? As you know, I'm probably on my early 50s. But does that ability to metabolize change as we go from 20 to 50?
Yes, actually, we lose some of the metabolizing effect. So we become slower metabolizer naturally as we get older. I also would like to add that smokers tend to metabolize caffeine faster is because nicotine induces the expression or the formation of the enzyme that metabolizes caffeine. So smokers tend to drink more coffee because they metabolize it faster. Another important point here is that females on contraceptive medications, pregnant women tend to be more slower metabolizers because of the hormone. This hormone competes with the same with caffeine for the same enzyme, so they tend to be metabolizers. So just be careful if you're pregnant, if you're on contraceptive and drinking 3-4 cups of caffeine a day, that could be dangerous. Or smoking at the same time is like there's conflicting things happening in the system.
Yeah, really, really important. And, as you were talking, I'm thinking about, I wanted to ask you about generational differences. And, when I was a kid growing up, I think maybe I had coffee a little bit. My father used to make coffee milk, put a couple of Folgers grounds in with some milk, and that was how he placated my coffee needs. And I didn't drink coffee again until I was in my mid to late 20s when I started working professionally. But now it seems like younger generations, they're getting a lot more caffeine and drinking a lot more coffee. And you certainly see them at Starbucks and Seattle's Best and other places. Is it a generational thing? How does it break down across generations?
I'm not sure about this, but yeah, but I agree with what you're saying. Is that I think the social media is like the peer pressure of seeing others doing it, that you feel like they want to do it. Obviously there's more caffeine consumption by younger by kids or teenagers and younger adults. Now, there's not much studies to look at the long-term effect of caffeine consumptions in in young children or in teenagers. There's some evidence that shows that caffeine actually could be detrimental to their growth. Because caffeine is a stimulant. It may change the brain chemistry as the brain is still maturing. There's also some evidence of stunted growth in children who consume caffeine, but again, there are not much studies done on children because that was not the norm. But I think there should be now because of the higher consumption of caffeine by children and young adults.
So, Dr. Begdache, in terms of, I think we want to move into a world where we're doing preventative medicine. So we're identifying diseases and challenges before they happen because, one, that prolongs life, but also it reduces healthcare costs. And I think that's kind of where the profession's going. When I go to visit my primary care physician, should I be telling him or her that I drink caffeine? Are there certain tests, particularly blood work, to look at my cardiovascular system any differently? And does it matter if I'm 52 or 22?
Absolutely, you should be sharing this information with your physician. It's up to the physician to perform the test. If you're having symptoms like cardiovascular or hypertensive symptoms. So I'm not a medical doctor. Like from that perspective, I'm not sure about the test, but it should be shared because caffeine metabolism can interfere with the metabolism of several medications. So the enzyme that metabolizes caffeine, it's called CYP1A2, is involved in metabolism of other medications, for example, SSRI, which are the antidepressant medications. So by taking caffeine or a certain amount of caffeine, we may be interfering with the effect of certain medications. Most people who drink a lot of caffeine or drink coffee tend to be on antidepressant because that having too much caffeine can lead to anxiety. So they could be on all those medications, and caffeine can actually slow the metabolism of these medications so they can feel the side effects more often when they're drinking caffeine. And if the doctor doesn't have this information, they may be like prescribing or up in the dose, not knowing that there could be this interference with the metabolism.
Yeah, really important. Again, it's all about, whether you're 22 or 52 or 82, important to get checked out on a regular basis. And doctors now need to have all the information, whether it's your mental health or whether it's the diet you consume. Dr. Begdache, we're going to have to leave it there. Great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. And by the way, I think I'm going to have to cut back a little bit on my coffee since I am a slow metabolizer. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us. And we look forward to having you back on the program again very soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
That wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to? Drop us a line, and don't forget, for all the latest curated news in lifestyle, wellness, finance, tech, so much more, all in one place, check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. Want to search our archives, check out our latest content, and visit our website. We're back again tomorrow for BRN Weekly. We'll be taking a look back at some of our best segments for the week. You won't want to miss it. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving. Don't forget, roll with the changes.